is sponsored by the Forest Park Chamber of Commerce and Development, and it is also sponsored by the Village Free Press, which is a news blog situated in Maywood, run by Michael Romaine here in the front row. So we appreciate the involvement of everybody. Now we've been doing this for a good number of years, and the ground rules are the same as they've been over the years. We're going to have some introductory remarks by each of the candidates. We're going to have closing comments by each of the candidates. We're going to wrap up by 8 o'clock. In the middle, we are going to have our candidates answer questions. So in the back, there are index cards. You are welcome to write your question on it. We've got 3 people who are ready to collect your questions. Lori Coquinas in the back from the Chamber of Commerce, David King in the back, and Michael Romaine. They are going to take a quick look at these questions to make sure that they are appropriate. And appropriate means we're really not looking for a lot of personal attacks or such things. We're trying to deal with substantive issues about the school district. So Lori's been passing out the index card, pass it back, and we'll get going. A few minutes ago, we had a little lottery to choose the speaking order. We set that. We'll revert the speaking order on the way back in. As of this moment, we have 6 of the 7 candidates on the stage, and so we are going to proceed. And in the back, there are also programs that include biographies submitted by the candidates, so if you want to get some background on it. So our first speaker with 3 minutes, and we have a timer in the front to try to keep us on schedule, is Ned Wagner. Ned?
Hello. I want to start off by saying thank you to the Forest Park Review and the Forest Park Chamber of Commerce and Village Free Press for hosting this candidates forum. It's a great opportunity. I think the people who vote need to hear from the horse's mouths, so to speak. My name is Ned Wagner, and I'm running for the Proviso Township's High School District 209 Board of Education. I'm running for a couple of reasons. The first reason is when my wife and I moved into Proviso Forest Park, we were told that you're going to love it. It's a cute town, it's great, but high school is going to be a problem. And 13 years later, I have 2 sons in the public school system, and high school is not only still a problem, it has arguably gotten worse. And that is why I'm running for the board. We've been campaigning in all the 10 towns of the school district, and everywhere we go, we have the same conversation. What are we going to do about high school? For the last 28 years, I've devoted my career to the service of people with mental illness and developmental disabilities, and now I serve people who have Alzheimer's and dementia. During these 3 decades, I've acquired experience with budgets, policy, and human resources. I'm a trained listener. I'm a trained coalition builder. And when elected to the board, I promise to use those skills to make decisions and to work together in the best interest of the kids. I've been a leader in Boy Scouts, a leader in Cub Scouts. I coach Little League. I'm the president-elect of the Kiwanis Club of Forest Park. I've demonstrated a sincere and independent motivation to serve the youth of our community. And while I do not doubt the good intentions of the individuals who oppose us, it does lead me to the second reason that why I'm running. I'm deeply disturbed that our opposition is intimately related to and connected and backed by this very same leadership that presided over probably the worst 10 years of academics in Proviso history, presided over a budget that burned through $76 million in deficit spending with nothing to show for it, and brought in the Financial Oversight Panel, and of which there are only 3 in the entire state, and which is a badge of shame on our community. Teresa Kelly, Claudia Medina, and myself Ned Wagner have one goal, and that is to bring back high-quality high schools to our community. We have one guiding principle, and that is to make decisions in the best interests of our children. And we have one will, and that is the will not of the few and the connected and the powerful, but the will of all the people of Proviso. Proviso together will stand up on April 7th and vote for Teresa Kelly, Claudia Medina, and Ned Wagner.
Ms. Harrell?
Good evening, and thank you very much for having us here tonight. My name is Francine Harrell. I'm a resident of Broadview for the last 24 years. I have 4 children. One graduated from Proviso West, and I have 12 grandchildren, 5 who graduated from Proviso East, and 2 that are presently at East. I'm running to be re-elected to the school board. I'm a sitting member on that board now. This would be my second term if elected. My goal is to ensure that our children are given the academic excellence that they need. A decade is 10 years. From 2005 to 2011, at Proviso West, we had a principal who took our scores to the rock bottom. Granted, they are rising. We have now in place some programs that will help to bring our scores back up, and they're rising slowly, but they're on the rise. My goal is to see that all 10 districts, the parents, would be willing to send their children to either East, West, or the Math and Science Academy. And I feel that with my running mates, Theodore Matthews, Shantae Welch, and myself, we have the same goal in mind, and that is to ensure that our children will be educated to be able to live in this diverse society that we are in and become productive citizens. So thank you very much for your time.
Ms. Kelly?
Good evening, I'm Teresa Kelly, and I'm seeking re-election on the Proviso Township District 209 Board of Education. I am a lifelong Proviso Township resident. I'm married, I have 3 sons. 2 of my sons are Proviso alums, and all 3 are college graduates. I was the president of the board from 2001 to 2003. During that time, we had targeted initiatives, and we were getting results. The academics was rising, attendance was rising, and the graduation rate was rising. So we were on the move. I brought in some very good programs. I brought in Bring Your Parent to School Day, which was signed as a bill, House Bill number 129, on August 10th of 2013. But I brought the program in, and we started it in 2001. I brought in free summer school, free mandatory summer school and enrichment for all. If our students failed two or more classes, they had to attend summer school, and it was free for them. But now, of course, we have money for nothing. We just have a deficit of everything, and what we do have, it goes to our attorneys, and it goes on our contracts and our jobs, our administrators' jobs, instead of going for our children. So our schools are still looking the same as they were looking then. I'm a graduate of Proviso East, The schools look the same way. Proviso East looks the same way when I was marching down those hallways. And that shouldn't be, because we get enough money to, we get as much money as New Trier to educate our children. And if you know about New Trier, you know that's a top-rated school. And that's how Proviso should be. The money should be going back into the school and to our children. We do not need what we have now. We do not need a machine that's dictating from the outside how our school should be ran. I'm on a 7-member board, and there's 4 votes that rule that school board. So I'm in the minority. So, but like I did what I could, and I do what I can with the votes that I do have. So we need to move that machine once and for all out of Proviso. We need to take back our schools. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Claudia Medina. I am a mother and I've lived here in Proviso. I'm a mother of 3 children. I've lived here in Proviso in Forest Park now for 13 years with my husband Rosalio and my 3 children who are 7, 9, and 11. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what I do. I've been in education now for the last 20 some odd years, 23 as a teacher, and I've been also in curriculum direction. I've been in administration in schools. I am currently a teacher trainer here and abroad in Europe and in South America, and I travel usually during the summers where I teach teachers how to turn schools around, how to teach quality education, how to make sure that the curriculum actually targets high standards and excellence for every school, and this is what I've dedicated my life to. And in my backyard, in my own home, our schools are failing. And when I started looking at my 6th grader going into high school, my husband and I were highly concerned. And we came together at the Brown Cow, and a bunch of us concerned citizens decided we need to change the schools, and the only way that we can change the schools is by being involved and loving the schools and doing what's right. Because what happens right now is we've got, at Proviso East, we have 7% of the children are becoming prepared for a college education or for a career. There's only 58% of the children graduating. And if we look at the past leadership, the current leadership in the board, which Ms. Harrell is a part of, has the unfortunate statistics of showing a 60% decline in reading scores and 53% decline in math scores. Our schools are failing miserably. And if we look and when we've gone around and we've interviewed the schools to see what exactly is going on, well, unfortunately, there's a practice at the schools where they have permanent substitutes. So there are many classes that the children aren't even given a chance. The kids are not given the curriculum. So if the children are not taught curriculum, how could they possibly do well on these tests? The policies that are being implemented by the board are scandalous. And as an educator, I cannot stand back and just watch these things happen, because no child should ever be exposed to a school that does not give them a chance. It's not that the kids are failing in the district, it's that the district is failing the children. And because the district is failing the children, we feel obligated to be involved and integrated into the system, because we want what happens at PMSA to happen at all 3 schools. Our district has the capacity of having high educational standards. They exist. What we need is for all 3 schools to operate at the same standard. There should be no school failing students, and there should be no students failing in our schools. Because the only thing that we can actually provide is a higher education and for hope and for a good future. It's giving the children education, because that's what's going to open their doors. So I'm running for the Board of Education to become involved, to love the kids, and to make sure that it is a child-centered education coming forward. Thank you. Vote for us, April 7th.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Shantae Brains Welch, and as my opponent here indicated, yes, I am the wife of State Representative Emmanuel Christopher Welch, who is your current state representative. And I think it's telling that for all of the negativity that's been discussed thus far about Proviso Township, he kept getting reelected by the constituents over and over and over again. So clearly he did something right. And he even got a promotion to your state rep. So I'm not going to speak or stand on his record here because he's not the one running for election, I am. And anyone that knows me will tell you I have my own mind and I am more than qualified to run for the position that I have thrown my hat into the ring. I am a lifelong resident of Proviso Township. I am also an alumni of Proviso West High School. I have remained active in this community for the last 5 or 6 years in participating and volunteering on local boards. I was a former member of the Answer Inc., which is a non-for-profit that is dedicated to helping families with children with autism and other developmental disabilities. I currently serve as a commissioner for the Proviso Township Mental Health Commission, for which I've been a member of over a year now. I practice school and municipal law. My area of focus actually includes representing 2 of the feeder school districts that feed into Proviso West. So not only do I have the experience and expertise in understanding the framework of the legislation that governs our public school system, which is different from a private school sector. I know Ms. Medina has some private school sector experience. The public school sector is different. It is governed by the school code, and I have working daily knowledge of that legislation. I also work with municipalities with respect to their budgets and trying to make sure that their public financing is done properly and within the legal parameters that is established by our General Assembly. I think that those experiences will definitely make me an asset to the school board. And I would just want to point out that some of the concerns that's raised about Proviso, you have to get to the root of the problem and be educated about what the problem is. If you look at all of the feeder school districts, with the exception of Westchester, all of them are not performing up to standard. You look at their ISAT scores from last year, every single district, including Forest Park, was performing below 50%, meeting or exceeding the ISAT. And I have the report here for anyone that wants to check the facts. The highest was 49%, if I'm not mistaken, and that was Hillside District 93. So we have to look at what the true problem is. You can't expect to take a student reading at 50% below the state standard, put them in high school, and expect them to come out at 100%. That's just not the reality of our students. I think that is one of the differences between us and the other slate, is that we are all knowledgeable and aware of the reality of our students in this district, and we are working as a team. It's not what I've done. A team, what we wish to do. For that reason, we ask for your vote.
Again, we thank all of you for coming out here tonight, and to the Forest Park Review, to the Village Free Press, and all of you. We are grateful for this opportunity. I am Theodore Matthews. I have worked within Proviso Township for over 5 years now. I was the youth minister at Rock of Ages Baptist Church for 3.5 years, where I work directly with many of the students who go to Proviso East, Proviso West, and Proviso Math and Science Academy. Additionally, I am one of the founding members of Parent University, which is an outbirth of the Proviso College and Career Readiness Committee, which is a collaborative effort of Proviso Township 209 School District, Triton College, and several other community partners that come together to figure out different ways in which the community can come together to impact our students in our schools. Additionally, I've been the past president of several basketball programs within the community. And all in all, my passion for running for this particular position as a school board member stems from the fact that I've met with many students. I spent my time with many families. I've been in the schools, so I know many of the teachers. I've been involved with them far before this election has come around, and so I know their concerns. I see what they face on a day-to-day basis and have faced over the past several years. And out of their concerns, out of the things that they face, it stemmed within me something to say, what can I do beyond what I've already attempted? Beyond working as a community advocate, how can I help affect this from a policy standpoint and bringing a community perspective to the board? And that's what I hope to do if elected on April 7th. I'm running alongside of Francine Harrell and Shantae Raines Welch, all of whom have also been involved within all of the communities within Proviso, not just in a singular community, but Francine being a Broadway resident, with Shantae being a lifelong Hillside resident, graduating from Proviso West. We all together have a thorough understanding, if you will, of the different demographics that our schools are facing, which is something that's important to know when you consider how to attack issues and and not just looking at what the actual statistical data is, while it's important, but what are the other outliers that weigh in with that? What other data come into the numbers in which we have? It's something to look at and be mindful of. Additionally, if you look at the representation of the current school board, there are not many minority males that are represented on the board, which is important if you look at the statistical makeup of our school district. We need more minority representation from a male perspective that is there. And so if elected on April 7th, we hope to, as a slate, the three of us work together towards seeing shared accountability take place within our school district, 21st century technology take place within our school district, but also looking to hire highly effective educators to continue to excel and push our schools forward. We believe in the vision of our school district, we believe in the mission of our school district, and we want to work hard with your support in order to see it achieve and reach its highest heights. Thank you.
Thank you all. Let me remind you, if you just come in, we're taking questions from the audience. You need an index card available in the back if you want to write up a question. Pass it back to David King, Lori Coquinas, they're going to review them, Michael Romaine. We will then pass these up to our panel. And if you have a specific person you want to answer the question initially, please indicate that as well. Let me ask this question, and we'll start, if I could, with the two incumbent board members, if you could answer this. As a board member, it is necessary to interpret many sources of data, balance sheets, achievement data, and the like. At recent board meetings, district principals have not demonstrated sophisticated knowledge of data interpretation. Please describe your training in data analysis and how it has prepared you to be an effective board member. So how critical is being able to assess data and make decisions based on it? How do you think, as incumbents, the board has done on that subject? And then we'll open it up to anyone else. So who would like to, which of the incumbents would like to take a crack here? Great team, that's great. And 90 seconds, please. Or less.
Our administrators, they do provide us with data, and that data is available to all of the residents or the community. They show us, and in our board meetings, if you were to attend our board meetings, you will see that they put up slides. They show what the percentage is of whatever they're talking about, the grades, the budget. So all of that is given to the board, and it's also given to the community. If you would like to see it, you just go on our website, and it's there.
When we talk about the data, the teachers and the administration, they are the ones who are supposed to be trained to look at that. We do have little conferences, and we do find out about how to look at the data. However, we don't have the type of administrators there that we should, in my opinion, that we should have there. When you have administrators that are not keeping proper assessments and data on kids, because if they were, then they would be able to track our kids, see what they're doing, and be able to follow them and steer them to the right programs. This is not happening. They show us, or they'll put it on the screen, but it's really not followed. And there's no way that they're tracking our students. And our students that I've requested from them to start making proper assessments and getting the data so that we can follow our students. We know what they come into our high school with, where they are, and we can see how they progress. But this is not being done. So until we can get the proper people there You know, when you have your boss's friend as the principal at Proviso East, you get what you get. And especially when it's okay if they come qualified, but when they're not qualified and they come from a school that has 400 kids, they were a principal there, that's not going to help at Proviso. We have failing schools. We need people who come in that are ready to hit the pavement and go.
Who else would like to answer this?
I'd like to say a couple words. Having attended the last 5 board meetings, I can attest to the amount of data that is presented at a board meeting, and it is truly like a vast amount of information. I have a master's degree in human service administration. I have studied how to, I'm not a genius at analyzing data, but I have a solid understanding of numbers and how to address them. We have people in the community. I think there's a lot of people in the community that need to be, that want to help with all this data, and we need to use our resources to make sure that we're using the data in the best interest of the kids and not just as a bunch of numbers that are justified on a very superficial level.
The issue with the data, when we went to one of the board meetings, when we got the privilege to be there to see all 3 administrators at separate board meetings. The 3 of us have attended, both Ned and I have attended the last 5 board meetings together as a team. When the Proviso principals present the graphs, the issue is they do comparisons to schools that are not, that don't have matching demographics, and they don't have matching performance. So it looks like it makes it look to the board as if there has been an increase or a betterment, but in reality what's going on is that they're matching apples to apples, not apples to apples, but apples to bananas. So it doesn't make any sense. When there's a high-performing school and they show a little bit of growth, that means it's an excellent school. When there's a very rock-bottom school, like the case is in Proviso, and they show a 10% growth, it's very small. If anybody knows anything about bell curves, it's not really improvement. And when the board then congratulates that type of improvement, then it seriously deprives the board of having correct information also. So we have to look at how they do present the data to make it a lot clearer.
So I'd like to answer as one who's been involved in the community, who's attended these board meetings, who's also sat down with several of our board members as well as our superintendent. The things in which I didn't understand about the statistical data that may be shared in some of the meetings, because also it is readily available online in other forums, but also when I did not understand, I requested meetings. And during those meetings, the superintendent would sit down and explain, say, her report in which she has the entire district, as well as the performance goals and what that means and represents. And from that, it did break down and does explain the different things and questions in which I may not understand from a certain perspective. Now, personally, I've worked with statistical data within the nonprofit sector for over 5 years, so certain numbers do make sense, and we understand that. But then to see the comparisons and explanation behind it took another person's insight to why they would do it and which the way they did it. And once I was able to receive it as a constituent of the community, I got a better understanding of where we were. So I think they're doing a fine job of it now. It can continue to improve as everything else can. But I do believe that the information is readily available. Anytime you do not understand it, they are willing to express and explain it to you to the best of their ability.
Next question has to do with feeder schools and feeder districts. There's been conversation here tonight about the challenge of kids coming in who may not be as prepared. What is the role of the school board in connecting with feeder districts, if any, or is it simply a matter of taking students as they arrive at the Proviso high schools?
Speaking specifically regarding the feeder school districts, as I mentioned before, I am the general counsel and litigation attorney for 2 of our local school districts that feed into Proviso. So not only do I have exposure and understanding of the data and statistical analysis that has to happen with elementary school districts and our public school system in general, I can speak to what needs to happen on a grander scale. And part of our platform is shared accountability. We have to hold one another as well as other elected officials and other school administrators responsible for these children. When the feeder schools are not performing and they have issues that have been identified, it is our responsibility as board members to reach out to them, to lean on our relationships with them and try to come to a resolution. We have to have a discussion about what is leading to these numbers. What are the socio-economical issues that are leading to these numbers? Because a lot of times it goes above and beyond just pure academics. These students are dealing with family problems, they're dealing with mental problems or mental health problems that have not been properly addressed, and we really have to work together to get to the root of the problem. So it starts with initiating that conversation. And I think our slate, each one of us respectively have working relationships with not only local elected school officials, but local elected officials in general. We've been endorsed by pretty much every one of the mayors with the exception of Maywood and Forest Park, as well as State Senator Kimberly Lightford and Representative Ford, as well as Representative Kathy Lewis. So I think that with those relationships among the leaders in this community, we can make the difference that needs to happen.
One of the challenges of District 209, the high schools district, is that there are 7 separate school boards, elementary school boards and school districts that send their kids to the high schools. And they're completely separate elected boards. They have their own taxing body. They can basically do whatever they feel is the best way to educate the kids. What needs to happen is we need to have a vigorous and engaged articulation. Articulation is the relationship between the high schools district and all the other elementary districts. We were at the Articulation Summit in January, and it was a very inspiring event. The principals and teachers were excited with the idea of, yeah, let's do this. Let's work together to identify. We need to identify when a child starts falling behind, that we have to address that right away, right? So that has to be addressed. It starts before school, right? They start school in kindergarten, first grade, second grade. There have to be agreed upon benchmarks that all the districts have to agree to. And all the districts have to be, talking and working together so that the kids, that we know that the districts need to know, where does the kid need to be so that they can be ready for 9th grade. When you come to Proviso High School in 9th grade, this is what we're going to be teaching in English and math. And all along the way, we need to have really open lines of communication and shared responsibility to make sure that these kids can be ready for high school.
Each board has different committees, and on the committee, there's a finance committee and there's an articulation committee. On our board, the articulation committee was taken away from us. So we don't have the articulation committee anymore. But at one time we did. But we did have an articulation summit that started, we had 2 sessions. One session, I think, was in the spring, last spring, and then we had another one in January. So we are now coming together with the feeder schools and trying to see what we can do and what the problems actually are. And I had suggested to our superintendent, that she bring in a group of people from the different schools, some of the board members and some of the and all the principals, and that's what she did. So now we are taking a step forward, and we are beginning to articulate with the other schools. Now the other schools too, they started last year with an articulation committee, and they have a couple of days where we go to their district office. The feeder school, District 89 at least. And you go to the feeder school and everybody brings ideas that they have. But what we really need to do is try to look at all the feeder schools and look at the ones that are making progress, the ones that are doing good, the ones that are meeting state standards, and we need to mirror those schools that are doing well and bring it into the failing schools.
I would like to say that the articulation meeting that Ned and Teresa and I, the three of us, went to was incredibly enlightening. Enlightening in many ways. First of all, there is a history of articulation in District 209, but it was canceled 11 years ago. And it hasn't continued until right now, till this past summer. It's when it started. Articulation means making sure that all of the districts are talking. When I talked to Dr. Collinshart, when I talked to the superintendent, and I asked her about the curriculum district-wide, there is no district-wide curriculum. So the first thing is, how can the feeder schools come into to District 209 and know what standard they need to be at if we don't have a curriculum established for our district? So the first step would be for us to establish our curriculum. Therefore, everybody knows what standards they actually need to feed to. Now, there are a lot of programs that have been started. The issue is, when lawyers look at these programs, they don't know what the effect of the program is. They don't know what empathy, or have the empathy of crossing something off as a line item and moving forward programs that are actually benefiting the children. Because oftentimes, if you haven't had the experience in the classroom, there is no way for you to know the effect of these programs in the schools for the children. Now, we do need to have this articulation based on a curriculum. So the first step for us is going to be establish a curriculum. So we also have an exit outcome. Because if we don't have an expectation of where our kids need to get to, not just state regulations or state standards, but actually benchmarks that we need to get to, then there's no way for the feeder schools to also reach a certain state. Thank you.
Right now, we have instituted the articulation feeder schools. We also have started with the 8th graders that are presently graduating and coming into our schools. We are providing them with a source where they can come in during the summer. They can, they'll work with them with their reading, their math, and their testing skills to help provide them to bring up their scores. They will receive credit for this while they're, after summer school, they go into their first year. So right now, no, we don't have different committees where at one time, I've only been on the board 4 years. When I came on board in the very beginning, we had committees, but for some reason they would stop. But if our team is brought back in, we plan to bring that back, working with the community. Right now, schools are working together, the feeder schools. So I think that we've made a lot of progress since 2011. And if I'm reelected and my team is elected, I believe that we will move our schools forward.
I would say one of the big things is, as Ms. Sorrell just said, to acknowledge the progress that has been made. While the Articulation Summit first began in 2014, it's been a conversation that Ms. Sorrell as well as Ms. Kelly can speak to and say it's been an ongoing conversation, at least for the last 4 to 5 years, again, to what we can do as a collaborative effort toward moving together with our feeder schools, as well as our board, and even moving on from our board to what it is that we can do to get our kids ready for college. It's been a conversation since I've been involved with the community, since I've been attending some of the functions, the initiatives, and I've seen that we've taken significant strides. We do have a lot of room to go and to grow into forward, but we have taken strides with the Articulation Summit, with things like Bring Your Parent to School Day, with things like the Freshman Transition Program, and then with other initiatives like Dr. Harthorne is at Proviso West, where he has a Future Panther Day, which are days in which they prepare and open up the doors for students to be able to come in, students and their parents to be able to come into the school and to be able to see ahead of time what the interaction will be like and how they'll be able to be successful as they transition into the schools. So I think that we are making progress on it, but it's been a conversation that's been continuing, and we are beginning to see strides take place with that.
We have a question about Proviso Math and Science Academy, and it was established a number of years ago. And the question has to do with, has it had an impact on the quality of education at East and West? Have students been drawn into the Science and Math Academy out of their schools? Have resources been shifted and had an impact on the two original schools? Who'd like to take a crack at that?
Let me see if I understand.
Okay.
The Math and Science Academy is selective enrollment. And that school, the Math and Science Academy has been rated as a very top school in our district, in the state of Illinois, actually. So the impact on Proviso East or West, well, I believe that East and West are improving. Their test scores are improving. And as I stated before, they're not where they should be, but they are rising. From where they were in 2011 to 2015, I believe that they have gone up kind of significantly because they were at the very bottom. So,
You don't believe, though, that there's been any negative impact on East and West by virtue of the selective enrollment of the Math and Science Academy?
no, I don't think so. I mean, as I said, the Math and Science Academy has selective enrollment. And the students at Proviso East and West, every student has an opportunity to enroll. There's no barrier that says that you cannot enroll, but you have to meet a certain criteria in order to be accepted. So I don't know, to answer your question for whoever, no, I don't think that it has had impact on our children.
Who else would like to answer? Ms. Kelly?
I don't think that it has had an impact on our children per se, but it has had an impact on the budget. PMSA is taking a lot of money out of both of the schools. Now, when you look at Proviso Math and Science Academy, like you say, it is selective enrollment. I have been fighting it since it came into effect in 2006 for them to have AP classes. And last year, they finally took me up on it, and they now have AP classes. So that's why they're able to score with these other schools, because you have to have the AP classes in order to score with your college readiness. And when you look at PMSA, they have a 56% ready to go to college. 56%. That's not saying a lot, not at all. 56% is all they have for college readiness, for kids leaving there. And in a selective enrollment school, we should be having 90%, really 99% of the kids should be ready when they leave Proviso Math and Science Academy to go to college into the well. No, I don't think, as far as grades, it didn't have an effect on Proviso West and Proviso East, because Proviso West has a 17% college readiness, and Proviso East has a 7% college readiness. So no, and when you look at the academics, no, it doesn't have an effect. but for the money and the budget, it definitely has an effect, and it is draining east and west side of a lot of money right now.
I think that if Proviso Math and Science Academy is taking the top 25% of the students, every year of the incoming freshmen, then of course it's going to have an impact on Proviso East and Proviso West. However, I don't think that that's the problem with Proviso East and Proviso West. I think that our school district is so large, there are plenty of high school students that we can have 3 high-achieving high schools in our district. There's no reason we can't have 3 high-achieving high schools and high schools. I think that the main problem, and it's kind of what came first, the chicken or the egg, there are 50% of the families in Proviso Township opt out of the public option. And that's not even including the people that move out to a school, to move out of Proviso Township to a school, to a community that has a school that they feel comfortable sending their kid to. Now, of the kids that are remaining, what is wrong, what I see that is wrong, and you see it especially at Proviso East, I think Proviso East is being neglected by the current administration. If we are running classes right off the bat at the beginning of school with substitutes, and this is, I'm not making this up, this is from, I spoke to Principal Valenti about this, I spoke to Dr. Collins Hart about this, did not get any much more of an answer, like, well, it's hard to figure out, how many kids are going to come, because, they register late and they move in from Chicago. You can't figure it out? Seriously? Okay. We can have 3 high-achieving high schools with PMSA if we have a board that cares, and if we have a superintendent that is feeling the fire, and then we have principals that are qualified, and then supporting the teachers who will then become, instead of being like the most demoralized group of people probably in Illinois, to inspire them to enjoy teaching the kids, and the kids are going to want to learn, and we'll have 3 great high schools. It's pretty much as simple as that.
I think to the extent that the question touches upon whether PMSA is stealing talent from the other 2 sister schools, I believe in speaking with some of the PMSA parents that currently have students that attend that school, their belief was that it was an alternative. It was an alternative to sending their child to a private school and paying private school tuition because they were already paying property tax dollars, and they felt that since this was an alternative available, they were already paying for it, they were happy to welcome PMSA. So I don't think it necessarily stole any of the top performing students, because those students, based on what we've been hearing, walking the neighborhoods and walking the towns and speaking with people, those students more than likely would have been taken out of Proviso district anyway. So PMSA offered that alternative for the parents to keep those students in this district.
Related question is something Mr. Wagner was just talking about. Low teacher morale, high teacher turnover are endemic to the Proviso system, especially Proviso East, where there are a disproportionate number of substitute teachers. So I would ask you, first of all, if you agree that is a legitimate issue or not, and then if you are on the board, what do you do to recruit permanent teachers, full-time teachers?
That is an issue. Proviso East had a high retirement rate, and one of the things that was done was they had job fairs to bring in, to recruit new teachers. And one of the things that I found, because I am a parent that had children to go to, grandchildren to go to Proviso East, what I found at Proviso East at one time was that we did have teachers there that did not care. They did not care what happened. And I can speak from experience where teachers would lock the doors on the students and step in the hallway and smoke cigarettes. So those teachers have been dismissed. And as everyone in this audience knows, at one time it was almost impossible to terminate a tenured teacher. So at Proviso East, we did have a lot of teachers there that did not care. But we have teachers there now, and I don't know that the morale is low. I walk the halls at least once a week, so I've never seen, you have disgruntled people where you can't please everyone. But I believe as a whole that our teachers, our administration, and especially our superintendent, who is fantastic, our credentials cannot be in any way, held up in shame. So I think that with this team that I'm on, that we will continue to find the right teachers. We don't hire. We have a human resources director that does the hiring. And it's a team that does that.
Can I ask you, when did you see this transition that you just described? Was it 2 years ago, 5 years ago?
It's probably only been in the last, I want to say about the last 5 years. And I was asked to be on the board probably so they would keep me out of the schools, because I was there every single day on human resources. I retired from Columbia after 28 years. I was at Proviso East, West. Unfortunately, I did not have anyone that went to the Math and Science Academy, but all of my grandchildren graduated college also. So I've been involved in schools, and I've seen the changes. I've seen how halls have changed, how the children no longer grow food in the cafeteria. So I've seen the change, and that change has happened probably, I want to say, the last 5 to 6 years.
Other people?
We posted these. These are the Illinois state standards. These are the report card for last year. And if we look at the school environment, where the teachers, 80% of the teachers and the students answered a survey as to how they felt the school was being run. And they said there was no collaboration amongst teachers. The leaders, they got a grade of least. Supportive environment, less. Involved families, least. The schools, that was at Proviso East. I've discussed this with teachers, with substitutes, with students who are of Latino, African American, Caucasian, all the different types of students that are attending Proviso East. And they find that there is an issue. The students do not feel supported, and the schools are not giving them the support that they need. I'm really surprised at Ms. Harrell's comment, because the report card says something very different. And this was all given by people who are attending the schools. So we do need a change.
Teacher morale is very, very low. Our students, they feel no one cares. We're putting out kids all the time. Each meeting we're putting out lots and lots of kids, and we're not giving them any services, and they should have some services. A lot of them are being sent to Osbusman, which is, you pay a lot of money to send your student there, and they don't get the services. And they're there with the kids that they had an altercation with. So therefore, they usually end up getting kicked out of there too. So morale is very, very low. And our teachers all say that they don't have a voice. They're not letting the teachers take charge or initiate any programs or do anything. You know, it's just that you're a teacher here, you do this, this, and this. We lost a lot of teachers over the summer, and also we had teachers leaving us in October, and then that's just unheralded. Teachers leaving to go to Oak Park River Forest High School. We had a great math teacher that left us, but it seems like everyone that is really effective with our students, that are really doing the right things with the kids, and the kids enjoy in life, they take away. They either let them go, or they end up leaving because of the different issues at the high school. This year, we should have about 30 teachers that are going to retire. We should start early recruiting our teachers so that we can get some of the best teachers available, but that doesn't happen. We wait till the last minute, and we get all these teachers that are coming in with 1 year or no year experience.
Who else would like to respond?
Teacher morale is low, and it's a fact. The 5 Essential survey that Claudia Medina referenced is true. And during the last 2, I'll give you 2 examples, okay? From the last 2 board meetings, a couple things came to light. The administration, the first one was the administration basically just handed teachers a curriculum resource pamphlet. Here's your curriculum resource pamphlet. You are going to be held accountable for this curriculum. We're not gonna, bring someone in to like in-service you or anything like that. Here's your pamphlet. Go over it, and we'll know if it's going to be a good, if it's going to be effective, because we will walk into your classroom and see if you're using it or not. Teachers were not consulted at all. Grading standards were changed by administration without consulting the teachers. At the past board meeting, the union representative stood up in public comment and described how they were being stonewalled repeatedly by the superintendent, Dr. Collins Hart. They would schedule a meeting with Dr. Collins Hart. Let's talk about grading standards. Let's talk about the curriculum pamphlet resource. And repeatedly, these meetings are being canceled at the last second. So one thing I can absolutely guarantee, that if Claudia Medina and Teresa Kelly and myself are elected to the board, we will have a relationship with the teachers union. We will make sure the superintendent is treating the teachers with respect. Because right now they're not being treated with respect. And we wonder why the morale is so low. We wonder why kids just wander the halls until a security personnel sort of gives them a hall pass and they wander into some random class being taught by a random substitute teacher, and that's their education. Granted, that's at Proviso East. And Proviso West is a little bit more organized than that. But we can increase morale by having a relationship with the teachers and treating them with respect.
Wanted to, we're running a little low on time, so we could pick up the pace a little. When we started in on our reporting for this season, I was taken off guard by, and we have a question here about the demographic makeup of the schools. I was surprised by the percentage of Hispanic kids in the Proviso schools. I'd like a quick response to how, in general, you think the school district is dealing with this demographic shift.
Currently, there are 42% Latinos in the school district in Proviso. There's 53% actually at Proviso Math and Science Academy, and there's 42 and 43% at Proviso East and at Proviso West. And the question is, how are they treating the demographic? Well, in discussing with many of the Latino parents who have had the privilege to talk to at the different community centers and at the different churches and at school meetings, and several parents that I know, they've been stonewalled. Oftentimes they go into the principal's office, they could wait 2 hours, 3 hours, their questions aren't answered. There's no bilingual person in the offices to help them when they don't have the language. And to be honest with you, there hasn't been a Latino in over 11 years on the school board. I would be the first Latina ever elected to the school board. And at the meetings, on the school board meetings, there is nobody that translates if they do come. So they oftentimes don't even come. And when the board has been, when it's been addressed with the board as to why there isn't representation, they said, yes, it's something that we should think about. Some of the principals were asked, well, do you have anybody in the offices to help the Latino parents if they come with issues in the offices? And they say that sometimes they weren't even aware of who was bilingual or who wasn't bilingual, and no, they do not have a targeted person in place for the Latino population. So how do I think that how the district is handling? I think with the increased Latinos that have come to the district, there should be more services. Even the website should be translated correctly, because if you go onto the Spanish website, it's googly-gop. You can't even understand what it said. Somebody just puts it through Google Translate, and that's how they're getting information out, which is unlegible and incomprehensible. So I think that we have a lot of work to do to assist the Latino population.
Other people? Thoughts on that topic? No? Please.
Again, as someone who has been involved within the school district from a community perspective and sitting on several boards within that dynamic, one of them being the Proviso College and Career Readiness Committee, which I mentioned earlier, which our superintendent sits on, as well as Triton College and other community partners. And in that, we have had several conversations in regards to the fact that we are a growing demographic, and particularly minority students within the Latino and Latina demographic. And within that, we are looking at different ways of servicing that. For example, we had Parent University not too long ago, in which there was a large demographic of that makeup. And so to circumvent that, or to accommodate that rather, we had ESL, we had translators that were present. And so I believe there are attempts that are being made to make progress. And as everyone said, we have a long way to go forward, but we are making progress. We are acknowledging the fact that there is a deficit within that area from an administrative standpoint. I don't think our board has denied that fact. I don't think our superintendent has denied that fact. I think that we have significant strides to take going forward in that regard. But we have acknowledged, I've personally seen it be acknowledged from the community side, and see how we can continue to move that forward in ways in which we continue to reach out towards serving that demographic better.
This may be our last question. And again, let me ask the two incumbents maybe if they would start. At some point in 2016, the Financial Oversight Committee, the state-imposed financial oversight group, is going to back away from Proviso schools. This is a good thing. This is a troubling thing. What's your take on it?
As I stated earlier, I've only known this for 4 years, but it's my understanding that the Financial Oversight Panel, or the FOP, was asked to come into Proviso. I think that we have now a balanced budget, and I think that with the board that we should have, that we will be able to keep our oversight, keep our balance, our budget balance. Let's take Proviso East. When that school caught on fire and we had to sell bonds, and one of our board members voted no. Well, how can we go forward if we don't spend the money to build our school back up? So to answer your question, I think the FOP will do very well leading, and I think that we, with our superintendent and our board, that we should do very well.
As far as the bonds go, yes, I voted no for the bonds. And I voted no for the bonds because, 2 reasons. Number one, they did not come to you, the public, and they should have. If they're going to spend your money, your tax dollars, they should come and ask you and let you know how they are misappropriating the funds or mismanaging funds, and how they have to come and get money, need money, and that they need money for bonds. I feel they should extend that courtesy to the community, to my constituents, and to everyone's constituents, that to come to you and ask you if you want bonds, if you want to pay for bonds. Like I said, we get as much money. Our budget is very, very lucrative. That's why we have the machine there. That's why they won't get away. They're taking kids' money, literally. So we need to, with the bonds, again, they need to come to the public and ask the public. And until they can come to you first and find out, I'm going to say no. Because I think that that's being a good steward.
What about the FOP? Good or bad?
The FOP, to me, when they came, they came because people are saying they were asked to come, but they were coming anyway because the budget was just that bad, and we were just in that bad of shape. And I was one of those that went down to Springfield to ask them to stay because I know what happened when they were away, and I know what's going to happen when they leave in 2016. If this board is not changed, the same thing is going to happen. We're going to need them again because we're going to be in the same condition or even worse. We do not need a machine running our schools. We need to take back our schools. And until everyone can get on one accord and say, these people are not going to run our schools, and that they're going to come out and make sure that the meetings, observe our meetings, see who's voting which way, see who the board majority is, and see how the board majority is voting. We know.
Out of time on that. Other people have an opinion on the FOP?
I have a quick opinion on the FOP, and it goes back to my opening statement. The FOP was brought in, whether they're asked, whether they're coming or not, because over a 10-year period, there used Proviso High School District 2 and I used to have a $76 million reserve, and that reserve was spent down to nothing in $5 to $10 million per year until there was nothing left, and there was nothing to show for it. Okay. The person who was the board president at that time is not here today, and that person is not running for the board. It is true. However, that person is backing our opposition prominently and proud. He's with his state seal saying, vote for my team. So you cannot tell me that the leadership that spent all that money on nothing, do we want that leadership influencing the board in 2016 when the financial oversight panel goes away? I refuse to let that happen.
Actually, there is one correction to be made with that statement. The board actually did institute a balanced budget under the former board president prior to the FOP coming in, and they were asked to voluntarily come in. That was a voluntary undertaking on behalf of the school district seeking their assistance. So there was no indication that the FOP was coming or that the school district was on the hit list for the FOP. And with respect to the FOP leaving in 2016, I think we have grown beyond the point of just saying, I'm going to spend the money because we know it's coming. It's not. We know that there are going to be cuts to the budget from state aid from the federal as well as the state government based on what our current governor has said and based on what's going on in Congress at the federal level. So we cannot continue to just assume the money will be there. And I think that no one up here is saying that we're going to run for the board just to be frivolous in our spending. We actually are running on a platform that we want to seek alternative sources of funding. So not only do we intend to be fiscally responsible with the money that we're entrusted with, we want to seek money other than what's coming out of taxpayers' pockets. Last year, the district was funded on 70% of local property taxes. We want that number down. And if we can't get that number down, we at least want to supplement that number with other alternative sources of funding for the programs that we envision in our platform. So the FOP leaving in 2016, I think is positive because I think it's a positive sign that the district has made improvements. But just note that the budget was balanced under the former board president.
different than the high school experience that you had wherever it is you attended? Where did you attend that you could specify?
So I can go to that one first since the microphone is down here. As it relates to how their experience varies between my experience and even those on the board, I think the demographic entirely is different. I think their life experiences are different, first of all. I think that's important to know. I think some of the things which they face in their family life, in their community, vary and differentiate between things in which I've had to deal with and others have had to deal with. So all that takes into place and all that comes into play in what they have to deal with on a day-to-day basis, which is their school environment, which starts in the morning from 9 to 5, some of the time which we'll work a day, they have to encounter that. So I do think it's varied in the way of the community gathering behind the support system. When I was in school and when I would come home from school, there was a family there to support me, a community there to push me. They don't necessarily have that same demographic or same backing, and that varies. There was nobody there to necessarily tell me I could not make it or talk about how my school was a failing school. Therefore, I felt like where I was achieving and where I was going to something I could be proud of. I think that's something that also varies. They hear so much negativity about the school that they attend. It's hard to be proud to walk down these hallways. It's hard to be proud of what I'm achieving. And even when I make progress, you still tell me I'm a failure or that I'm failing. And I think that's varied between them. I graduated, my parents sent me to a private school while having the option because of some of those same things that were taking place, but I think the demographic has varied in such ways based upon the students that I interact with on a day-to-day basis, the parents that I interact with on a day-to-day basis, and the teachers that I interact with. I think that so much has differentiated and varied in our household makeup, in our community makeup, in our overall support behind our students that it's impossible to even say that it's close to being the same.
Well, I'll make this very short and brief because, as you all are aware, when I went to school, schools were totally different. Right now, teachers can hardly put their hands on a student. When I went to school, they could beat you to death. I attended public school. I graduated from Marshall High School in the city. And it's just, for me to comment on what happened when I went to school would be just totally different. Because if things were, if the teachers or the parents could do what the teachers and my parents were able to do, it would be totally different. And the whole community took care of us. If the lady next door told me to go to the store and I told her no, I couldn't go home because my mother and father were there. So I won't count.
Speaking being a graduate of Proviso West, I think there are both similarities and differences. The similarities in that I do have relatives and young relatives. They're actually 2 twin seniors that attend Proviso West and will be graduating. And just speaking with them, the same excitement and camaraderie still exists among the students. Now, whether that translates between students and teachers and students and parents or parents and teachers is yet to be proven. But the student population themselves, they are still excited. They're still young, they're vibrant, and they have fun. And I think that was one of the similarities in when I attended Proviso West. We went to class. Yeah, you had your fights. Nate showed me a school that, you don't have disagreements among teenagers, but that was a minority event. So I think there are some similarities. The differences, I won't speak any further because I think Teddy really put that in perspective as far as the demographics. We have a teen pregnancy now in the school that did not exist at the rate that it did when I was there, as well as single parent households. That's a huge difference. The change in our family unit has been very influential on what our students are facing and some of the real life issues that they deal with as a teenager that most adults don't bear very well. So I think that that's one of the things we have to keep in mind when we look at the similarities and the differences between the student populations then and now.
I went to Crete Boney High School, which is out in Crete, Illinois. It used to be a farm town, now it's more of a suburb. When I went there, Crete Boney was, probably equally, you could divide it into 3 parts of the student population. Would be like 1/3 farm kids, 1/3 kids from like South suburban public housing, and 1/3 sort of working class suburban kids. And it was a perfectly fine high school. It was certainly, no one ever touted Creek-Money as like, Naperville Central or, something like that. But it was a perfectly fine high school. I think that the difference that I see in the high school experience is that there was no one in any of those towns feeding the Creek-Money that was having the conversations that families in Proviso had. No one was saying, what am I going to do about high school? No one was saying, oh my God, I got to move out of Park Forest. Or I got to move to the north side of Park Forest so I can go to Rich East. No one was, oh my, we got to move to Joliet, we got to get away from Creek-Money. It wasn't like that. And I'm shocked. I'm shocked. And as someone who didn't grow up here, I think I bring a different perspective. Like, I have always been irritated at my community for allowing this to happen. Well, we only have two choices. We move out or we go to private school, or if you don't have a choice, then you have to go to public school. Well, that's another reason why, Claudia Medina and Teresa Kelly and myself are running for the board. We want Proviso together, all the people, to embrace this high schools district, love this high schools district, and create 3 great high schools for our kids.
Well, I don't think you want to hear when I went to high school. But no, I went to Washington Elementary School, which is in Maywood, and when I graduated from elementary school and went to high school, you would leave out reading on the 12th grade level. So there was no problem with reading. You had about maybe 3 kids in your class that were slow readers, but they were still reading at a good rate. At Proviso, we would dance in the jukebox. They had it every morning before school. So, in the social room right there at Proviso. So we had a good time. We had a great experience at Proviso. Everybody was cordial with one another. The principal and all of the administrators, they were very friendly. They watched out for you. The counselors were there to guide you and make sure that you were taking the right classes. So we just had a really good time. They had all the school dances, they had the plays, they had assemblies for you. And a lot of this has gone by the wayside at Proviso. Now, I was very, very proud of Proviso because wherever I'd go in the summer to any other state to vacation, people would want to know where you go to high school. And as I would say Proviso, everyone knew about Proviso. It was a great school with tradition. Now, it makes me want to cry because it's not what it used to be, and it can be that way again. And I know that with Ned Wagner and with Claudia Medina, that we will be able to transform those schools and bring those schools back so that everyone will be able to go and choose Proviso as their #1 choice of schools.
I went to high school in Bogota, Colombia. And I had a very different high school experience than what they have here at Proviso. It was an all-girls Catholic school, and before that I went to an American high school. But I did an American high school, but in Colombia, because that was the American school. So it was a bilingual school. So I went to bilingual education throughout my whole high school experience. We had to wear uniforms. We had to get the bus every day at 5:25, so we could start school at 6 a.m. and school went until 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So we had a very different type of high school experience. But what we do want is, what we had in my high school is what everybody in our community wants. We want the kids to feel camaraderie. We want everybody to look forward to going to Proviso. It doesn't matter which one it is, whether it be PMSA, whether it be Proviso East or Proviso West. We want every kid to look forward to it, and every parent to be proud to be in our community. And with Ned Wagner and with Teresa Kelly and myself, with our combined experience in education and our active service in the community, in the educational community, in the mental health community, with our children, in our schools, as volunteers, volunteers, as activists, to make sure that everything really runs right so that justice is served. We would like to bring that sense of service back to our community so that our community all feels safe coming to the schools. Because who wants to send a 14-year-old to a place where there's a lot of security to make sure that everything functions? We want to make sure that every kid succeeds. Now, there are children that succeed in our district, but they're succeeding despite the difficulties that are in our district. So let's bring back the community, let's bring the camaraderie, and let's make it child-centered.
I hope that last question didn't like eat up all of your closing remarks. We're going to go to your first order, so Mr. Matthews, and 2 minutes.
Again, with everything that's been shared tonight, I think it was a great dialogue, great insight. Personally, again, I want to make my appeal on behalf of our ticket, on behalf of myself. We bring another level of community experience, community involvement of relation to the school district, both our feeder schools as well as 209. And then we're also all parents, we're all husband and wife. My wife is a graduate of Proviso West. I hope that our daughter will go on to be a graduate of Proviso Township. With Shantae being a graduate of Proviso West, with them looking toward their children going on to be graduates of Proviso Township. We want to be able to be proud of where we send our students to school. With all of us knowing students within the community, we want to know that where we're sending them to, they can be proud of, and we push them, and we see the potential that's within them. And that's why we're running, that's why I'm running, is to see our children excel, to see your children excel. I believe they have everything they need within them. We have to give them the tools and the resources that are necessary. And I think we need more people on our board who have an understanding of all of that and take all of that into consideration when they make decisions at a policy level, who have a thorough understanding of not just the statistical data, which again is highly important, but also all the data that goes into play and all the factors that come into play with that data, what the indicators are, and what the contributors are to some of those facts. That's what we need on our board. And that's why on April 2nd, I hope that you will look to vote for Theodore Matthews, Francine Harrell, and Shantae Raines-Welch.
Thank you for putting on this forum. It's great always to have an opportunity to address the audience and answer their concerns and questions, even if we can prepare to discuss our platform. I'd rather address some of the main issues, but I will just throw a little more information about our platform out there because I think we've kind of beat a dead horse to some extent with some of the questions. And I think the difference in our ticket is we really want to highlight the preparedness, not only for college, but post-high school in general. I remember Proviso West having an auto mechanics, auto body shop program, and the students loved it, particularly the male students, but there were some females too. But I think that there are some programs that, knowing and understanding the community that we live in, and based on our individual experiences and our individual participation in this community, working with local elected officials and leaders, we have developed a very unique understanding of the problems of our students, and we have a vision to give them alternatives and to try to give them something that they can be successful at. Everyone is not going to go to college because not everyone wants to, but everyone can be gainfully employed. We can institute certain programs for vocational training and start to expand upon some of the entrepreneurial programs that Proviso currently has to give our students alternatives. And I think that it really goes back to having a vision, and that's our vision, to give our students more than what they currently have. I don't think anyone up here will say that we want to take anything away, but I think our ticket has the insight that is at a greater depth than our opponents.
Our team wants three things. We want accountability for the leadership, we want safety in our schools, and we want academic excellence. And how do we do that? We want to raise expectations, because the only thing that the school board does, if we're elected to the school board, the only employee that we have is the superintendent. And from there, it trickles down. So the trickle-down effect is very important. So if we bring transformational leadership into the school board, where the school board starts working collaboratively with a new majority, allowing for us to evaluate the way that the school board is being run, making sure that we have metrics, that we have benchmarks, making sure that the standards are being met, that the curriculum is actually being followed and established for the district, that we have programs that provide mentorship from the mentors. We want mentor leaders in the program. We also would like to have a program where the community is more involved. We also have Proviso Together, where the three of us, Ned Wagner, Teresa Kelly, and myself, will continue to have meetings with the community, outreaching to the community, so we can hear the concerns, bring them to the board, and make sure that the board is actually addressing the issues that are important to our community and to our children. We want our schools to become child-centered, so that any decision that is made by the board is definitely something that is going to be pro-children, that is going to lead to betterment for the children, because education is what is going to transform lives. It's what's going to open their minds. It's what's going to give them a future. So please keep in mind on April 7th, vote for our team, which really is pro-community, which is Ned Wagner, Teresa Kelly, and myself, for a future in Proviso and to bring back pride to Proviso.
I'd like to thank everyone for having the Candidates Forum. I'd also like to thank each and everyone for coming out to hear us tonight. Claudia Medina, Teresa Kelly, and Ned Wagner. We have a moral obligation to return these schools back to academic excellence and to have a curriculum there for all of our children, so that we can have both, they can leave our schools with a career, or they can leave, if they choose and want to go to college, they can go to college. We want to have that readily available for them. We want to give them an 8-period day where they will have time for more electives. Now, an automotive shop, we do already have an automotive shop for our kids, and they're doing really good with that. And we are asking for cars, and we have old cars. Cars, so that our students can work on them. And we will return these schools back to excellence. We will make sure that we have the state-of-the-art equipment in our schools, and that our schools are looking like a state-of-the-art school, instead of still looking like when I went there. Nothing has changed. So we're asking that you will please consider voting for us when you look over the list. Claudia Medina and Ned, they are experienced and they're knowledgeable. And I'm experienced, and I have a real good track record that has been very successful. So will you please remember to vote for Claudia Medina, Ned Wagner, and Teresa Kelly.
Ms. Earl.
Once again, thank you very much for having us tonight. My goal is to ensure that our students are provided with academic excellence. I'd like to ensure that our board will bring on programs that will continue to help our children, whether they choose to go to college or to get them ready for whatever their field should be. So if you would consider voting for Theodore Matthews, Francine Grell, Shante Brainswell, I'm sure that you will not be sorry that you have chosen our team. We have Theodore and Shante, who are young professionals who will bring in new, fresh ideas, and that will help to bring our schools standards up and to continue to rise as they are rising now. So thank you very much for having us.
So once again, thank you all for coming out tonight. I think this candidates forum, to me, has been very successful. I think that listening to the two slates, that there's a very clear choice. And as a voter, you need to vote for the group of people whose message resonates with you. Our opposition repeatedly said that everything's okay. Everything's okay at the schools, we just need to work a little harder. Our message is that everything's not okay, right? If everything was okay, people in Melrose Park wouldn't be moving to Elmwood Park. And people in Westchester wouldn't be moving to, to Western Springs. People in Forest Park wouldn't be moving to Brookfield to find a better high school. Now, when I look at the high schools district, I don't see intractable problems. The challenges faced by our high schools district are many and varied, but the solution is very simple, and it begins at the top. It begins by electing independent, free-thinking board members that will work to bring about transformational leadership, which is based on trust, and it's based on putting people in a position to succeed. It's based on raising the expectations on our superintendent. Our superintendent, as a parent, I never felt that the district cared that my community had rejected the high schools. We need to work with the community. So when you elect Teresa Kelly and Claudia Medina and myself, Ned Wagner, to the board, we promise, I can't believe I said that, becoming a politician, but we need you, the community, we need to have a relationship with the community, and we will have that, and we will, come to the board meetings and hold us accountable. And we will create an engaged, vibrant learning environment where kids want to learn and teachers want to teach, and we can all be proud of Proviso. So on April 7th, vote for Ned Wagner, Teresa Kelly, and Claudia Medina. Thank you.
Thank you all. Let's have a round of applause for our Chamber and the Village Free Press Forest Park Review. Thanks for being here. Thanks to the schools for opening up. And one last point. A week from tomorrow night, the Chamber of Commerce and the Review will be sponsoring a candidate forum in this very same room for the municipal